Since the last episode was so terrible, and the fact that based on the advertising, this episode focuses on Sir Ivan, I have only one thing to say. Supercharge, you better not ruin the Night of Xandar for me, or else I'll lose all faith in this season. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about episode 8, Riches and Rags. The episode opens with Sir Ivan taking in the delivery of what he assumes to be his new practice dummy, even marveling at signing for it electronically. Ivan takes the dummy into the lab and comments on its expensive-looking apparel before he begins training with it. On the ship, Fury uses Gold Digger's coins, Spellbinder's pendant, and Wrench's reanimator to create a hybrid monster called Spelldigger who can cause people to turn greedy. Singe asks why they would want to turn people greedy, but Spelldigger says that if he gets the Rangers to touch his coins, they'll be at each other's throats with greed. Heckle says the plan's perfect before taking Singe's blaster sword, explaining that Fury and Spelldigger may need the extra firepower, telling Fury to make sure Spelldigger finishes the Rangers. Fury says that Heckle can trust him, looking at Singe when he says, unlike some people, before the three villains go to implement their plan. Back at the lab, Kendall and Coda bring in a crate while Ivan's still training, Kendall talking to someone about a missing package. Kendall tells Ivan that his practice dummy's arrived, but the knight says he's already using his practice dummy, causing Kendall to stop and see what Ivan's been slicing at. Kendall horrifyingly tells Ivan that rather than slicing up his dummy, the knight has been destroying a royal suit of honor, adding that it's a very expensive antique that's older than him. Ivan tries to play the whole thing off as not being a big deal since he doesn't understand the suit's monetary value, but Kendall says this isn't going to be good as she goes to call the owner. Meanwhile, in another part of the city,
Gold! Gold for everyone! Come and get it! Free gold! It's all for you, the good people of Amber Beach. From me to you!
oh hey, they finally got Heckle out of the ship! Yay! At the cafe, Chase is arguing with a customer over the price of his already eaten food, with Tyler trying to help Chase with the situation, neither of them noticing the guy's eyes glowing with dollar signs. The man tries to pay with Spelldigger's coins, but when the Rangers refuse to accept it, he says it's gold that he got from a man on the corner before leaving. Chase and Tyler pick up the coins to inspect them before they're overcome with greed as well, heading out to get more coins from the man the customer was talking about. As they leave, the two pass by Kendall and Sir Ivan, who show the owner of the suit of honor, Mr. Smith, the now ruined garment. Mr. Smith says the suit's worth $2 million, and though Ivan tries to talk down the price, Mr. Smith won't have it, so Ivan tells Kendall to pay the man. Kendall says that the museum doesn't just have $2 million lying around, but Mr. Smith says that if he doesn't get his money, he's taking the museum to sell it off before leaving. Shelby comes in asking if Kendall or Ivan have seen Chase and Tyler, so Kendall tells Sir Ivan to find the two as she figures out how to save the museum. Speaking of, Tyler and Chase find Heckle handing out the coins, the villain making eye contact with the Rangers before he leaves, the Rangers following to see what he's up to. Knowing the Rangers are watching, Heckle orders Spelldigger to get him more coins from his vast treasure, and though Tyler says it could be a trap, the Rangers follow Spelldigger wanting to be rich. When the Rangers leave, Heckle orders Fury to bring him their energems before we cut to Sir Ivan finding Chase and Tyler running in a field. The knight tries to get their attention, but runs into Fury, who says that Chase and Tyler can wait since he and Ivan have unfinished business, and the two do battle after Ivan morphs. Chase and Tyler, meanwhile, are following a trail of coins before little Rexy shows up, leading the two to the Gold Ranger, Tyler using his battleizer to fend off Fury. The Rangers demorph before Sir Ivan sees Chase and Tyler collecting gold coins, assuming they want to pay off his debt, and nearly joins the two, but decides to not use Monster's gold to pay off the debt, remembering that there is some gold that he can use.
Welcome to Amber Beach Bank. How may I assist you?
1 bar of gold, please.
Excuse me?
I am Sir Ivan of Xandar, one of the King's Knights.
And I'm the Queen of England. And what can I do for you?
Well, I left a bar of gold in the bank many years ago. I'm here to reclaim it.
Account number?
I don't know.
ID? Something with your name on it.
Ah, yes, of course. There you are. There it is right there. See?
Please, take whatever you want.
Just give me my gold.
Wow, we got super realistic there for a second, I love it. Back at the lab, the Rangers are preparing to sell fossils so they can pay Mr. Smith before Chase and Tyler come in, the others asking where they've been. Tyler explains that they chased after Spelldigger, but Kendall asks what's in their overly stuffed pockets, so Chase says it's just something the monster dropped before a single coin falls to the ground. Tyler and Chase then fight over the coin before more fall out of their pockets, and Shelby tries to look at the coins to see what's going on with the two, but Kendall stops her, wanting to examine the coins since they came from a monster. Back with Ivan, the knight tries to convince Mr. Smith not to take the museum, even offering up his protection and servitude to settle the debt. Mr. Smith refuses since his assistant Miss Sandra already provides protection before reminding Sir Ivan to get his money and storming off. Back on the ship, Heckle asks Fury why he didn't get the red and black energems, with the general blaming everything on the Gold Ranger, before Wrench says he has a solution, having modified Spelldigger's pendant into a portal that the villains can use to catch the Rangers. While that's going on, Kendall finishes her analysis of the coins, telling the Rangers that they cause people to turn greedy, before Sir Ivan slides in saying he couldn't get the $2 million and asking about the fossils. Shelby explains that the fossils are what the museum could spare to pay Mr. Smith, and though Sir Ivan says they can't sell them because they're the heart and soul of the museum, Kendall says it doesn't matter, since even if they sold all these pieces, they still end up short of $2 million. Dakota then says the Rangers could use Spelldigger's gold to pay off the debt, and the others agree to do so since they have to stop the monster anyway, and the gold will be going to a good cause. Kendall then asks Chase and Tyler to lead the Rangers to where they found the coins, adding that she'll stay behind to make sure no one takes what they've already collected. The 6 Rangers follow a trail of coins before it splits off into 2 paths, with Tyler and Chase going in one direction, and Shelby telling Ivan and Coda to follow the 2 while she and Riley take the other path. Shelby and Riley reach the end of the trail where they're attacked by Spelldigger, holding the monster off before morphing into action. The 2 chase Spelldigger into the woods, telling the others they're in pursuit, and when they catch up to the monster, they try to blast him, but Spelldigger catches the blast in his portal. At that point, the other Rangers arrive, engaging the monster in a fight, but he's able to hold them off, using his portal to suck up more of their firepower before deciding to suck up the Rangers as well. Tyler, however, activates the triangular formation of his battleizer and uses the portal suction to get close enough to Spelldigger so he can break the pendant before finishing off the monster with his supercharge morpher. Several gold coins fall from the sky before the spell on Tyler and Chase wears off, and the team starts collecting the coins only for them to all vanish because of Spelldigger's defeat. Heckle then causes the monster to grow, so the Rangers call on the Pack-a-Rex formation of the Plesiocharge Megazord, using Superdrive to finish the monster for good. After the fight, Fury says that Heckle will destroy him for failing before he overhears Singe talking to someone about Heckle also looking for the Energems. Fury asks Singe who he's talking to, with the general saying it's his grandmother, and even though Fury doesn't buy it, he walks off, telling Singe he doesn't trust him. Back at the museum, Mr. Smith comes to collect his money, with Sir Ivan trying once more to convince the man to be generous, but he refuses, at which point Prince Philip shows up with a check explaining that he was alerted about Ivan's visit to the bank by the authorities, and that the bar of gold Sir Ivan left in the Bank of Xandar has been collecting interest for 800 years, providing the knight with more than enough money to pay back Mr. Smith. Sir Ivan hands the check to Mr. Smith, who asks why he won't just let the man keep the museum so he can stay rich, with the knight saying that if the city loses the museum, it would be robbing the community. Ivan selflessly giving up the money causes Mr. Smith to rethink taking the check, and the episode ends with him and Ivan amusingly passing the check back and forth before Mr. Smith hands it to Miss Sandra, who chases Ivan around to give him back the money. This episode is the first of the season to feel completely like a Dino Charge episode, and because of that, this is my favorite episode of the season so far. Not only do we have nice little bits like Heckle manipulating citizens to lure the Rangers into a trap, and that really fun moment of Sir Ivan visiting the bank, but every character acts how they're supposed to act, which is a far cry from the abysmal characterization of the last episode. The closest the episode gets to anyone acting out of character is Tyler, but he's under a spell, and even then, he still has his energy and enthusiasm. I really like how Tyler and Chase were being affected by greed, since it provides them with something to do rather than focus on saving the museum, making the episode feel less like an after-school special, plus it connects them to the villain plot. Brendan Mejia and James Davies work really well with the comedy of the situation, and since they're having fun doing it, I'm having fun watching. But the standout here is Davi Santos, who carries most of the episode, not only with his own comedic bits and dialogue, but also balancing that with Sir Ivan's guilt over losing the museum. I also love how him wanting to save the museum comes from a purely selfless place. It would have been so easy for the Rangers to want to save the museum because that's where their base is, but instead the episode focuses on how terrible it would be for the community to lose such valuable pieces of history. If I wanted to stretch, I could say that Sir Ivan feels a connection to the museum since he, like the exhibits, is an artifact of his time that was perfectly preserved and brought back into the modern day. And his level of generosity could represent an ideal from the past that isn't as prominent today, which is why it's important to keep the past, or in this case a museum showcasing the past, alive. I do have one minor issue with this episode, which comes at the end when Fury finds out Singe is conspiring against Heckle. By all accounts, this confrontation should end with the two trying to kill each other, but given that this is the mid-season finale, I'll let it pass, at least until I see where the show goes with the feud after the hiatus. I should also probably mention why I'm not judging this as harshly as Dino Charge's mid-season finale, and that's primarily because Double Ranger Double Danger was advertised to be the mid-season finale, so I was able to judge that episode on how well it wrapped up the first half of season 1. Whereas here, this episode wasn't advertised that way, so I critiqued it more as a standalone piece, and I in fact thought there was going to be at least one more episode after this before the show took a break. Overall, while this is the last new episode we're going to get of this show for some time, I thought it left a pretty good impression, giving us the Dino Charge episode I've been waiting for since the season began. Let's just hope they can keep that momentum going when the show returns. I'm Nick, aka Iron Man 1993, and may the power protect you.